In this video, we are going to learn about one of the most searched AWS component known as Lambda. If you are new to the world of serverless computing, then please ensure you watch this video till end. The reason for that is I am going to cover everything right from what is serverless computing, how it works, how Lambda integrates in AWS environment, and how it talks to other services. Okay, so I am going to also show you a Python demo in the end. So let's start the discussion without any delay. So guys, we are going to discuss what is serverless computing from layman's point of view. Okay, then we are going to understand what is Lambda in AWS. We are going to understand where to use Lambda. Okay, and most important part of this lecture is this part where I am going to show you three different use cases of Lambda. Okay, in first use case I'll show you how to use Lambda in general. Okay, in second use case I'm going to show you how can you trigger your Lambda function by using some other trigger. Okay, and third I'm going to show you how can you combine an email service with Lambda. So for example, when Lambda function runs, then an email will hit my inbox. So how to integrate that? Please ensure guys you understand all these concepts very clearly, because whenever you are working on some architecture or some pipelines, all these things will come into picture. Okay, and then I'm going to leave you with some next steps and what to do for more learning and more understanding. Okay, so suppose somebody talks about serverless computing, then what comes to your mind? If no server is coming to your mind, then that is a wrong understanding. Okay, if no server is coming to your mind, then this is a wrong understanding. If somebody talks of serverless computing, you should think it like that: user or programmer or coder is not taking care of the configuration, networking, and management of infra. For example, suppose there is a Python script. Okay, suppose there is a Python script, for example, aman.py. I tell you, hey, take this Python script and run it on AWS. Okay, run it on AWS. So you will ask me, okay, I will need a server to run this, right? You cannot directly run this on without any server or without any platform, right? So you will need a server. Now, how can you get a server in AWS environment? Maybe using a EC2 environment. When you want to take an EC2, then you have to define how much memory you want, or how much RAM hard disk you want, how much of CPU you want, what kind of operating system you want. All these kind of things you need to take care, because you want to maintain that server or you want to have that server. Okay, this is with server computation. This is normal day-to-day work, business as usual. Okay, how serverless computing is different is AWS tells you, hey, as a developer, as a programmer, you just bother about aman.py. Okay, what you bother about? You just bother about aman.py, and rest of the things you leave it to us. Okay, so you just go ahead, write your code. We will take care of how much RAM you need. We will take care of what CPU you need. We will take care of what OS your code will run in. Everything we will do. Just you focus on writing your code. Okay, this kind of arrangement or this kind of availability or infrastructure is called serverless computing, where there is a server obviously on which your code will run, but that is hidden from you. You don't care about what is happening on the server level. You just care about how you write your code. So somebody asks you tomorrow, what is serverless computing? Serverless computing is basically a you can say service of a cloud service provider, where as a programmer, I just write my code and I don't care about anything else. My code runs, everything else is taken care in the background. Okay. Now, since it is a cloud environment, so when I say everything is being taken care, that means your auto scaling or your elasticity, your security, all those things are taken care in the background. Now coming to AWS Lambda, right? So AWS provides you, basically there are two serverless engines, you can say, AWS provides you, which is very famous and very popular. Okay, one is called Lambda, another is called Fargate. Okay, try to understand the difference between these guys. Lambda is useful when you want to run, let's say, one Python script or a Java file or a .NET file or a JSON, not JSON, JavaScript file, or any programming language file, for example. I want to run in a serverless way, I can run a .py file, I can run a .java file and blah, blah, blah. I will use Lambda. Then why Fargate is there? Fargate is there to run your containers, okay? To run your Dockerized application. Okay, now some of you, if you do not understand what is Docker and the basics of Docker, I strongly recommend you guys, please go ahead to unfoldddatascience.com here, and there is a very beginner friendly course on Docker here. Okay, I have kept in mind that many people from data science background do not know the basics of Docker. So this course only $5, since I'm in UK, it might be a little less for you if you are in India. Okay, Docker for beginners is one course that you can take and you can learn everything about Docker right from scratch. Okay, so I coming back to our discussion, I was talking about Fargate. So Fargate is basically for running your Dockerized applications. Lambda is for running your simple scripts. Okay, that is the basic difference. Now, where will you use Lambda? So very important to understand, guys. Lambda you will use when you do not have a continuous workload. So what I mean by continuous workload is, suppose you are serving a web front, or you are serving a website. So you have a continuous workload, right? You have an engine which should be online 24 cross 7. So you have a continuous workload. So Lambda is not suitable for those kind of places. Lambda is suitable for, suppose there is a script like the example I was giving you, right? Aman.py. Okay, Aman.py. What this script does is, every time somebody uploads a file in S3, right? S3 bucket, this script will send an email to me that, hey, in your S3 bucket, a file is being uploaded. Okay, so this is one kind of use case where you can use Lambda. Okay, second kind of use case is, suppose you are running in EC2 instance, you are running, you are hosting some web server, and in your web server, let's say, uh, the traffic increases beyond a certain threshold. So you understood that, okay, if this happens, then you get an alarm from CloudWatch. Based on that alarm, right? Based on that, you can simply set a Lambda function to run and say that, hey, whenever my server capacity is consumed till 80%, then run this function and do something. That something can be maybe allotting more space, initializing a new server, running a auto scaling group, anything can be there. Okay, so the core thing to understand here is, Lambda is not for something which should be online 24 cross 7. Lambda is for something which is unexpected, number one. And number two, we do not know how much of resource it will need. We do not want to take headache of allocating RAM, allocating CPU, etc. We do not want to get into that headache. Okay, so somebody asks you when Lambda is useful, you can simply say that for intermittent workloads where we do not have knowledge of how much of capacity we will need, Lambda is best suitable for those cases. Okay, so we understood basics of what is serverless computing, where you don't bother about what is happening in background, you just write your code. Okay, what is Lambda? An AWS service for serverless computing. Fargate is other service, but that runs containerized app. Okay, usage of Lambda we understood for intermittent processing, where we do not know how much of space or capacity we will need. Let us go ahead to AWS Management Console, and I will create my first Lambda function and show you. Okay, let me close Unfold Data Science. This is my Management Console, and I will go here and I will say Lambda. At the moment I say Lambda, you can see run code without thinking about servers. As I was telling you, as a developer, you no need to bother about how much of space I will need, what CPU I will need, what OS I will need, just the code. Okay, click on Lambda, and then you can go and say create a function. Okay, create a function. Now there are three options: author from scratch, use a blueprint, or container image. Normally, let's go ahead and try to write author from scratch. Okay, so I will just say my first Lambda function. Okay, and I'm going to write in Python 3.9. At the moment I come here, you can see, guys, default execution role. Lambda will by default take one execution role. Okay, this is important. Hence, I'm telling you, later we will discuss why this is important. When you create a function, Lambda will take a default execution role. Okay, and then I will say create function. At the moment I say create function, you will see that it is going to take some time because it is attaching that role to that function, and then I will be ready to test that function. So let's wait for like 30 seconds. So my function is live now. Okay. This is my function, my first Lambda function. Okay. Now the basic function syntax is this. So this is pretty important in Lambda, guys. In Lambda, your main function will be named as Lambda handler. Okay. And your main function will take two arguments. One is called event, another is called context. Okay. And it is very important to understand what will go in event and what will go in context. I'm going to one very nice URL here, and I'm going to tell you in simple words what is what is event and what is context. All Lambda functions must have a handler function. As you can see here, this is the handler function. Okay. Handler function must accept two and only two arguments. Only two, one is event, one is context. Okay. Event is the data from the event that triggered a function. Now with Lambda, you have to understand one thing, guys. Normally we use Lambda with a trigger. Okay. Trigger means, as the example I gave you, right? If something happens, then fire this script. Okay. So all the data related to your trigger will come into event. Suppose, for example, I say that, hey, fire this Lambda when an object gets uploaded in my S3 bucket. All the data related to your S3 bucket, your object will come where? In the event. And what comes in context? The data about the execution environment of the function. So this function will use the execution environment, right? For example, Python, it is using some configuration, it is using some roles, it is using, right? All that will come inside the context. Fine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this function with a more user-friendly function. Okay, more user-friendly function. So I have written few functions in my VS Code. Let me go here and take this function. Let me go here and take this function, and let me replace this. So this is also Lambda handler. Okay, as you can see, there is an event and there is a context. Okay, and what the message is hello.format event. First name I'm taking from the event and last name I'm taking from the event. Now, what is event, guys? Remember, event is your trigger from, data from your trigger, from where you are triggering your Lambda. Okay. So I will just go ahead and deploy this. I'm saying message is equal to message. Message means returning. It will just print the message. And then I'm going to click on test. At the moment I click on test, it will say test with this event. So I'm saying my new event. Okay. And then I will change my value. So I have kept my values here. Okay. So this is my key and this is my value. Actually, you have to give a key value pair. First name is John, second name is Smith. Okay. And then I'm going to say save. So what has happened? I have a testing event environment ready here. Okay. And then I'm going to say run. Okay. So I'm going to say test. So at the moment I say test, right? You can see here message is hello John Smith. Okay. So what I did just now is I wrote a simple Lambda function. Okay. And I tested this Lambda function using an event. Where from I got the event? I got the event from, as you saw now, right? I can configure a new test event. So using this event, I just ran. I got the response like message, hello, John Smith. Okay. This is a very, very basic fundamental thing. It is not getting triggered from anywhere else. I'm just testing the basic Lambda functionality. Okay. So in your event, your data will come and then you can get the message like this. I will close this and I will move on to my second demo. Okay. So what is happening in my second demo, guys? Let me copy the code from here this time. And it is little complex in nature, little bit. I will just explain you. It will become very simple. Okay. As I told you, in Lambda, you must have a Lambda handler. Okay. And then event and then context. Now, as you can see, I'm importing Boto 3. So if you have seen my previous videos on AWS, you know that Boto 3 is used for working with Python in Amazon environment. Okay. Here, what I'm doing is I'm saying bucket. So I'll tell you what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to run this Lambda function with a trigger. So let me go ahead and set a trigger first. So what trigger I want to add is I want to add a S3 trigger. Okay. And what I want to tell is, hey, in this bucket, which is my test bucket 21st November, every time somebody uploads a new file, right, then this Lambda function should be executed. So I will say, come here, this is my target bucket, take all object create statements, okay, and then just create this trigger, okay. At the moment I say create this trigger and this trigger gets created here, you can see that it will come inside the configuration and triggers. Now, what my expectation is, if I go and upload a file in that bucket, my Lambda function should get executed. And what should happen? Let us look here carefully. My bucket name should get printed. So as you can see in line number 14, I'm printing my bucket name. Where from I'm taking my bucket name? I'm taking my bucket name from, as I told you, events will hold all your information about the event, which means in this case, bucket. So from events, I'm taking my bucket name, and then I'm saying print my bucket name and tell me what type of object is that. Okay, just two simple things. Print me my bucket name and tell me what type of object is that. So let's go here and try to upload a file here and see if the Lambda gets triggered. So come here and add any file from my desktop. For example, I'm adding here and let's say upload. So my expectation is that Lambda function should get triggered and give me the name of the bucket and type of the file. Okay, so come here to the monitor. In monitor, you can see that it is preparing some logs again, CloudWatch logs. Okay, so we will go and we will open the log which is prepared now. So for example, this is the latest log, I believe. So let me go here and click on this. What is the time now so that I can compare? 16:14, 18:49, 6:49 p.m. So let me see here if with that time something is created. 6:39:34, it looks to be a little old log. So let's go back to this. A new log should come actually. Yeah, 6:49 log is also here. So let's open this log. Okay, so as you can see, my test bucket 21 is getting printed and my content type image PNG is getting printed. Okay, so I ran now and now only these two things got printed. So what happened is that got triggered. Okay, so if I go ahead and I upload one more file in this bucket, for example, this is my bucket, right? So any file if you upload, right, that it will create a new log and it will tell you what kind of file it is and what kind of what is the name of your bucket. Okay, so same way I'm uploading, same way if you come after some time in CloudWatch, you will find a new log and you can see that log and it will be stored in here. Okay, so I can just refresh it and a fourth log should come in some time here. Okay, but now I'm going to show you most interesting thing here, and that is every time this happens, then fire an email. Okay, so right now we are seeing the logs, right? I want to fire an email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to a service called simple email service. Okay, and I'm going to click on this and I'm going to add a new email ID. Okay, I'll go to verify identity and I will add a email ID here. Email ID unfold data science SCIENCE at gmail.com. Okay, unfold data science at gmail.com. Yeah, this is fine. And then I will say create identity. So at the moment you want to create an identity, right? Then you should expect an email in your inbox to verify your identity. Okay, so I'm opening this. As you can see, email verification has come. I will go and click on verify. So my email will get verified here. So as you can see in verified identities, my both of email is verified. This is the one I added now. Now what I want to do is I want to send email to this email ID whenever a object gets uploaded. But we have to do one more thing in this Lambda function, guys. Has our new log come? Let's see. One more log should come because we had uploaded one more file. Yeah, you can see few more logs have come. Okay, so those are the new logs. Now, one more thing you need to do here, and that is you have to give this role permission to access your email service. So what I mean to say is click on configuration. Okay, click on access. There should be something related to access, tags, destination, permissions. Okay, in permissions, you will see that with this role, your Lambda function is running. So we want to send an email, right? An email will be sent using simple email service, which is known as SES. So what I want to do is I want to give my this role permission of sending an email. Okay. So I will go to this role and I will say add policy and I will give the policy to send email. If you follow all these steps, guys, it will be very, very simple and smooth for you. If you miss any step, difficult. Attach policy, SES. Okay. Simple email service. And there is something called Amazon SES full access. Okay. So I will go here and I will say add permission. So now my role has SES full access. So I should be able to send the email. But only one thing we have not done. We have not changed our code to send the email. So that code also I have written in Visual Studio. This is the code. I will just walk you through quickly what this code does. Okay. So we are taking a new client called SES, that is simple email service. Okay. And what this client will do is it will just prepare a subject, hello from AWS. It will, I am hard coding the body saying image uploaded, and it will simply send the email to this ID wherever you give it. So right now I will give unfold data science. Previously I was testing with query.unfold data science. Now I will say send to unfold data science. Okay. I will say deploy. And once it is deployed, then let's go here and do the trigger thing. Okay. So that the trigger gets fired. So close this and click on this add file. Any file I want to add here. I just want that trigger to go. Upload. Okay, what is the time now? 6:54. So we should get a log of 6:54. So let me go here to CloudWatch and I want to see a log. Okay, so monitor. And I also want to see a new email, right? So monitor, let CloudWatch log open, view CloudWatch logs. In the same tree, that log will be there in the same family. Okay. So because with this function name, one tree of logs get created. So if you come here in the log streams, right? 54, yeah, 54, we fired one query, right? I hope there are no errors, no permission errors, etc. Okay, so this looks fine because my bucket name is printing, my content type is printing. So I should get an email actually. So let's come here, inbox, hello from AWS is coming now. As you can see, image uploaded. I will say look safe. Okay. So I will just tell you one more time, guys, what we did. We just went and created a Lambda function with functionality of sending email. Okay. Then we created a verified a email in simple email service. Then we went to roles and gave the permission of role to SES full access. And when we fired our Lambda function, then that email got triggered. As you can see in my inbox, that email is here. Okay. So what all we covered till now, guys? I gave you one simple example of how you can test Lambda. Second simple example of how you can do your see the bucket name and content type by simple trigger thing. And third, how you can fire an email. Okay. So as a next step, what you can do is you can just play around with this because you will not be charged if you run any small function or if you do little experimentation. Okay. Do some experimentation. Understand that Lambda is very, very critical and very, very important component of entire AWS. And let me know if you are facing any issues. In this video, please drop me a comment saying you are liking these videos so that I create more AWS content. Okay. I'll see you all in the next video, guys. Wherever you are, stay safe and take care.